So here's a little sneak preview of what we got going on. A 57 Chevrolet for another customer that's been an LS3 swap. In the meantime, we have this NNBS, or also referred to as the GMT900 platform, that we're going to be putting speed engineering headers and Y-pipe on today. So let's open up the box. Okay, I see our passenger and driver side header. We got some gaskets in here. Here's the driver side. Another gasket. The passenger side. I'm just going to lay it out so you can get a way better look at it. Alright, product disclaimer, guys. This is basically saying from speed engineering, as you know, the EPA has been slamming people left and right for emissions defeat any sort of device or installation. So this is letting you know this is for off-road use only. And even though it has this O2 sensors, guys, keep in mind the law says that you have to have catalytic converters and no emissions defeat devices. So this kit does come with your O2 sensor buttons, though, for your tuning purposes. But as you can see, the bends are all manual, nice and smooth. The welds are beautiful. I mean, for the price point especially. And then you can see that we have the rest of the piping to make up the Y pipe that runs back into the muffler. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to do a little bit of cutting on some of those pieces in the back that attach to the rest of the muffler, but the rest of it should be pretty much just install and go. So I guess let's get the old stuff off this GMT 900 truck. Alright, so we're down here on the driver's side. As you can see, there's the steering shaft. And I left the plugs in there, guys. You might want to take those out. You really do risk breaking them if you leave them in. I just happen to leave them in. I've done this a couple of times, but you might want to remove them. But anyway, I just wanted to show you guys. So this is the set, the darker set or the older headers that the customer had on there. And just the fit and finish, overall length, and even the exterior welds where it attaches to the flange are all superior to a lot of offerings you'll find out there at this price point. Alright, so back here on this side, and I'm going to show you guys that basically this one's going to install on the driver's side, and it's going to go in from the bottom. It's this pretty much the case on a lot of trucks, but it's really not too bad to get it in the hole. A little bit of wiggling. And I find that if you kind of tilt it as far as you can towards the front of the vehicle and then push up, it goes in a lot easier. Here you see me trying to stab it as best as I can on my back with one arm. But if you just get the right tilt on it, up and in it goes. Okay, coming up here from the top, here's your gasket. You want to make sure the flat side of this gasket, you might not be able to tell here, but you want to make sure that the flat side sits against the cylinder head. So I'm going to lift this manifold up into place as best I can. Slide and insert your gasket in between the cylinder head and the manifold, again with the flat part of the gasket mating to the cylinder head side. And we're just going to get a couple bolts started in here. Now, the reason why you guys don't want to tighten down anything just yet all the way is because you don't want to do any final tightening until you have most of your components in place with bolts and clamps fairly loose. Just so if there's any adjustment or movement that the exhaust system has to make while you're putting it up, it'll be able to move pretty much freely while you make those adjustments. You're going to see in a little bit why that's important. So, passenger side basically drops in through the top. You have this heater hose bracket, and it just comes off from down here. I lifted the hoses and I put them over the oil fill cap, as you can see. And this passenger side just slid right down into here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a few bolts in here. Remember guys, don't tighten anything up all the way yet. Put your gasket in, a couple bolts, and leave it loose. Okay, so this is the crossover that goes from the driver's side towards the passenger side to complete the Y pipe. You can see we have some pretty good cross member clearance from the transmission, but you're going to want to go ahead and leave this fairly loose. Reason being is, like I said, you're going to have to position this exhaust completely until every component's on, and then you go ahead and tighten up everything. In the meantime, we have our clamps. As you can see, they're labeled. This one's a 3-inch, stamped on there. And take off the hardware and just go ahead and kind of get your clamps in position. And the reason this is important is because it kind of saves you some time from having to fight it later. So just get it in position and put your hardware back on. But remember, don't tighten anything yet. Leave it loose. As you see, I already installed one of the O2 sensors just to kind of get out of my way. But you don't want to tighten those up yet either just yet. So here is the rest of the Y pipe. And as you can see, I have a gap, and this is why. I was able to snake the Y pipe in, but with the passenger header in the way, I can't get this to fully seal towards the driver's side until I unbolt this header, slide it back, move over this Y pipe towards the driver's side somewhere so this header can slide back down into the Y pipe and make the connection. So again, this is why it's important not to go ahead and tighten down everything just yet. As far as back here, I'm thinking that I'm definitely going to have to do some cutting on this piece. It included some pieces that I can only assume go for 2500 or maybe some other different exhaust systems, but as much as I try, even with this flex joint, I can't get it compressed enough to fit this piece on like this. So I'm probably going to have to cut these two pieces in my hand, as well as this piece that you see right here a little bit, just to get everything to fit flush and do as minimal fabrication as possible. I'm really not trying to weld anything. So you see we have mostly everything in place. And I went ahead and tightened that header back up there with just a couple bolts to hold it, not really tighten it down. But look at this clearance that you have, guys. I mean, for the price point, you really can't beat what you get in this kit. So here's the plan. This tube right here is too long. And if I put this piece on it, it's going to be way too long. So my idea is to cut this a good bit down. That way I could get the pipe on there even further. And you just got to remember, guys, when you're doing things like this, you always want to measure everything. So I'm thinking if I cut this pipe down and slide this one on, and I might even have to cut down these two pieces that you see in my hand right here. But if we do it just right, it should mate perfectly. And yeah, so just going to cut it. Remember, always measure twice, cut once. Okay, so this is about the length that I took off of the actual Y pipe itself. And now I'm doing some loose measuring. I think I'm going to have to cut right above those slots you see on that tubing. And it looks like it's going to end up being just enough for my measurements. But again, this is about how much that you're going to want to take off of the initial Y pipe itself. And measure out everything, guys, because you're only going to get one chance at cutting this right. So yeah, I guess I'm going to take this part off and see what I have to do. But it seems like if my idea is going to work out, I'm going to have to cut a little bit off and maybe right above where you see these slots at. So I'm going to go run over to my chop saw and make a couple of cuts. Okay, so you see that I made my cuts right above where those slits were, and it seems to have worked out pretty well. You have enough purchase to get the pipe on the other exhaust pipe very solid. It goes in pretty far, and even on the one that connects over to the flange, it goes in about one exhaust clamp's worth. So I'll be able to get full reach of the exhaust clamp around the pipe to get a seal on there. And everything else is in place right now. So I'm kind of stoked. I'm going to get everything bolted together. And this is kind of what we have now at this point, you guys. Everything's bolted together. I'm going to grab a new O2 sensor to stick in that mid pipe because the other one's pretty much stuck in the old exhaust. But everything's together looking nice and solid. All in all, again, guys, for the price point, can't be beat. So I wanted to show you guys something. Everything here fits as far as spark plugs and clearance, except for number 3. And I had to do something. I'm going to advise the customer that we're going to have to replace this. But I cut down some of the rubber and I cut down the boot to get the spark plug to fit. This isn't a permanent fix, you guys. I'm just doing this right now to get the vehicle to be able to move around and make sure I don't have any crazy codes on here just yet. But you really want to look into the appropriate stuff. But as far as fitment on the passenger side as well, everything's copacetic. It went in like a glove. So all in all, I think that this kit, for again the price point, is pretty much a good buy. The welds are nice, the bends are nice. Just the fit and finish in all is just worth the squeeze, you guys. Except for the little modification I had to make to that spark plug wire right there on sole number 3, but that's a small price to pay. I'll see y'all in the next one.